Sup nerds, today we have Omnimon versus Ancient Garu, the red base. Chris won the die roll, so he starts us off by hatching Gigi, evoing into Cultural Appropriation Mon. Then playing Gatsu for 3. Brandon hatches Koro. Activates Pot of Greed to draw 2 cards from his deck. Evos into Gabu for 0. Plays Gabu, Scourges top 3. Minimum value, adds Omnimon, top decks to 2 Tamers. Chris promotes Swing on with Mucho. Draw from Mucho, pay 1 for Gigi, blow up the Gabu. Checks Taiankari. Swings the Gatsu. Checks Miraculous Mega Knight. Unfortunately, Brandon doesn't have a Tamer to play. Sag. It's really bad that both of those survived, for Brandon anyway. Chris plays a Koji to choke Brandon to 1. Brandon promotes. Swing on him, 1k. Checks a Crimson Blaze. Brandon does not get the draw from Garurumon, sadly. Plays Agu, Scourges top 4. Minimum value, adds the Taian Mat, bot decks the rest. Triggers Taiankari, bot decks, draws a card, and then plays Taian Mat for free. Chris hatches Koro. Eva's an Uko for 1. Swing on him with Mucho. Draws from Mucho. Pays 1 for Gigi, blows up the Agu. 2k, 1 check. Dies. Swings with Gatsu. Dies. Yeah, that's so bad for Brandon. They both got in there and survived on the previous turn. Rookies are supposed to die. That's the downside of Rookie Rush. Chris Hammer Sparks for 1. Plays Louis for 3. Promotes Uko. Triggers Uko first. Adds Kendo. Hatches. Taps Louis and chokes Brandon to 1. Brandon hatches Koro. He was an Agu. Yeah, this ain't looking good. And Brandon scoops, not much he can do about that. By the way, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And if you're interested in either one of these deck profiles, link will be in the pinned comment below. Brandon chooses to go first for game 2. Makes sense. Hatches Koro. Eva's an Agu. Plays Taiankari. Triggers end of turn. Bot decks. Draws 1. Plays Tai for free. Chris hatches Koro. Eva's an Gatsu. Plays Louis for 3, promotes, taps Louis, gains memory, swing on him, draws from Koro and dies. And just hard passes. That's bad. Brandon promotes, triggers Agu, start a main phase, adds the Omni back to hand from trash. Plays Pot of Greed to draw 2 cards from his deck, swing on him, 1k, draws from Koro and dies. Plays Gabu, Scourges top 3. Does get max value here, adds Greymon and BT17 Melgo. And eventually that delay option, Air of Dragons, will go to the trash, I'm sure. Chris hatches Koro. Eva's an Uko for 1. Plays Louis for 3, promotes, triggers Uko first. Adds Mucho. Hatches, taps double Louis to go back to 1. Eva's in a Mucho. Swing on him. Draws from Koro and dies. Then plays Matt to air quotes choke Brandon to 1, and then Brandon goes to 3 from Tai. Evo's into Gabu and raising. Yeah, Chris is in a really bad spot. He's super far behind. Brandon swings. Checks Ancient Guardian Deity. No effect, just goes to hand. Brandon plays Agumon for 3. Plays Miraculous Mega Knight for 2. Plays Agumon back for free. And then Chris's turn at 2. Alright, Chris promotes Mucho. Gains 2 from double Louis. Swing on him. Draws from Mucho. Draws from Koro and dies. Taps Matt to gain another memory to go to 5. Yeah, Chris is in a really bad spot. He's dead on board. Unless he has a Crimson Blaze and a security. Alright, Chris plays Ancient Guardian Deity for 2. Adds the Ancient Garu back to hand first. Yep. And then crosses Ancient Garu with Kendo and Lobo. So it's 2 more memory. He bounces the Gabu and Brandon's top security to hand. He literally just gave Brandon Alter B out of his security. If you guys didn't catch that. Alright, then he plays Muchomon. Brandon goes to 3. All right, Brandon promotes, triggers Agu, adds a piece, triggers Agu, adds a piece, triggers... Oh, it doesn't get to trigger Gabu. Gabu requires Matt to be in play. Yeah, the Omnimon's in a much better position here. I mean, if Brandon does this turn correctly, he has game. Oh, never mind. He would need the BT17 tie-in Matt in order to lethal him to attack end of turn. If he had that Tamer on the field, he would just have game here. Barring his BT14 Wargrey dying to the 2 checks that it would hit him for. Alright, so Brandon plays Wargreymon for 8, triggers its effect to warp the Gabu into Melga for 0, trigger Melga's effect to warp Agumon into Wargrey for 0, trigger Wargrey's effect to attack. 2 checks, does not trigger Raid, which is actually really smart here because you don't want to have the Ancient Garu's on deletion trigger if you're going to DNA into Omni at the end of turn. So it's 12k for 2 checks. Checks a Koji and Ancient Guardian Deity. No effect, just goes to Chris's hand. Now we're gonna end of turn into Omni. Bot deck the Ancient and blow up the Mucho. And then Chris's turn at 5 memory. Chris hatches Koro. Eva's in a Uko. Yeah, because Brandon has the Miraculous Mega Knight set up, Chris can't really play around the Ace Omni. Assuming Brandon has the pieces in his hand, which looks like he does. Yeah, he definitely does. Because there's no way to preemptively bounce the Wargrey, because it would just trigger the delay option. And then obviously if he attacks, he also triggers the blast window. So he's getting Ace Omni either way. And then the Omnimon also has blocker. It's like, yeah, he's in a really bad spot. He drew pretty suboptimally this game, I will say. He doesn't have any Tamers in his hand, besides the one he's already played. Alright, so we're going to Evo and Nikendo for 2. Alright, so Evo's in a Beowulf for 1. Swing security triggers Beowulf, adds the Kendo back to hand to bounce the Agu. Brandon obviously blocks. Beowulf dies. He should have actually gained a memory off of the Koji there. So we did our first Chet. Alright, so he plays Ancient Guardian Deity for 2. Digicrosses Ancient Garu for 2. Yeah. He attempts to bounce the Wargrey. Brandon triggers the option. No. And then he DNAs into Omni. Omni is going to bot deck the Ancient. And now that's passing turn. Brandon has game on board. He just swings with the Omni and trashes last security. So Omnimon does take game 2, forces a game 3. All right, and Chris chooses to go first for game 3, obviously. You'd want to go first versus the new Ancient decks. They're super aggro. And you would want to go first with them. He hatches Koro, Eva's in Nagatsu. Plays Louis for 3, promotes, taps Louis, gains memory. Brandon hatches Koromon, Eva's in Gabu. And then plays tie-in Matt. Chris hatches Koro, swing on him with Gatsu. Draws some Koro and dies. Chris Evo's into Mucho and then plays Koji to choke Brandon to 1. Brandon promotes, triggers Gabu to draw a card, swing on him, draws some Koro and dies. And then plays tie to give Chris 3. Chris promotes, taps Louis, gains memory, swing on him, draws from Mucho, draws some Koro and dies. And then Chris plays Memory Setting Koji to go to 0. And then plays Uko for 3. Right, Brandon hatches Koro. Evo's an Agu. Plays Miraculous Mega Knight. Plays EX4 Gabu, max value. Melga and Wargreymon. And then plays Wargrey for 8. Triggers the effect to warp the Gabumon into the Melga for free. Melga's effect, he's going to stun all 3 of the Tamers. They cannot suspend until the end of Chris's turn. He's going to tap the tie-in Matt to gain 2 memory to give Chris 5. Chris hatches Koro. Yeah, this matchup and all the Ancient matchups are the reason why you'd want to play the BT15 Melga as your secondary Mega in the Omnimon deck right now. So Chris swings security with Uko. Brandon is contemplating acing. Right, checks tie-in Kari, lives. Right, Chris Evo's into Mucho and raising. Plays Matt for 2. Alright, and Chris Crimson Blazes for 6 memory. Doesn't really do a whole lot, but he doesn't have anything else to do apparently. So Brandon promotes Agu. Swings with Melga, unsuspends. And then DNA's into Omni. And then Evo's into Alter B. Swings, trashes top card of security. And then trashes 3 megas. He does lose 5 memory from Ace Overflow, but it doesn't matter because he trashes the last 2 cards and swings for game. Also, the Ukamon would be dead, and Brandon would also be deleting the 3 lowest play costs with the Alter B swing effect. It'd be the Matt, the 3 cost Koji, and the Louis. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content. I want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.